July 24, 1943, 300 miles south of Truk Lagoon. Through the periscope of USS Tinosa, LT, CMDR, Lawrence Daspit watches a crippled Japanese tanker wallowing dead in the water, point-blank range, defenseless, 15 torpedoes left. He fires 11 of them. 11 direct hits, 11 metallic clangs. 0 explosions. December 7, 1941, Pearl Harbor burns. Within hours, Admiral Chester Nimitz issues the order American submariners have trained their whole careers to hear: execute unrestricted submarine warfare against Japan. No warnings, no mercy, sink everything that flies the rising sun. The U.S. submarine force is ready. 51 boats in the Pacific, crews drilled to perfection, captains hand-picked from the Naval Academy's best, and the Mark 14 torpedo, America's secret weapon, packed with 643 pounds of Torpex explosive and guided by a magnetic influence exploder, so advanced it doesn't even need to touch the target to detonate. It will sense the steel hull passing overhead and blow the keel right out from under it. On paper, it's a war winner. In reality, it's a nightmare. Within weeks, patrol reports flood back to Pearl Harbor. USS Sargo fires 13 torpedoes at a stationary Japanese submarine, gets 1 hit. USS Skipjack puts 8 fish into a tanker convoy, nothing. USS Gudgeon's captain watches in disbelief as his torpedoes run straight and true, then pass harmlessly beneath enemy hulls. The stories pile up. Captains radio back in frustration. Torpedoes that circle back toward the sub. Torpedoes that run too deep. Torpedoes that hit with a thud and sink without detonating. The brass at the Bureau of Ordnance don't want to hear it. The Mark 14 has been in development since 1931, 12 years, millions of dollars. It's been tested extensively, they insist, and declared flawless. The problem, they tell returning skippers, must be the crews: poor shooting, nerves, inexperience. Submariners know better. They're risking their lives to get into killing position, setting up textbook shots and watching billion-dollar enemy ships sail away unscathed. But they're junior officers. The Bureau of Ordnance is admirals and PhDs. So the war grinds on, and America's silent service, the force that's supposed to strangle Japan's merchant fleet, spends 1942 firing torpedoes that might as well be training dummies. Until one man in Hawaii decides he's had enough. May 1942, Pearl Harbor submarine base. Rear Admiral Charles Lockwood steps off the plane and into the most frustrating command in the Pacific. He's already heard the rumors. Now he reads the patrol reports himself, one after another, and the pattern is unmistakable. America's submarines are getting into position. They're doing everything right, and their torpedoes aren't working. Lockwood, known to his men as Uncle Charlie, is not a desk admiral. He came up through the boats. He knows the difference between excuses and evidence. So he does something the Bureau of Ordnance never bothered to do. He tests the Mark 14. In June 1942, Lockwood orders USS Skipjack to fire torpedoes into anti-submarine nets off the coast of Australia while observers measure the depth. The Mark 14 is supposed to run at 10 feet. It runs at 25 feet, 15 feet too deep, every single shot passing harmlessly beneath enemy keels. Lockwood sends the data to Washington. The Bureau of Ordnance reviews it, reluctantly admits there might be a depth control issue, and authorizes a fix. One problem down, but Lockwood knows there's more. Even when submarines adjust for the depth error, even when torpedoes do hit, many still fail to explode. Some submariners report hearing a dull thunk, metal on metal, followed by nothing. The magnetic exploder, the contact exploder, both. The Bureau of Ordnance insists the exploders are fine. Testing them would require firing live torpedoes at $10,000 a shot, and that's too expensive. So Lockwood fights. He argues. He submits reports. He pleads for authorization to conduct live-fire tests. Washington says no. And the war goes on. American subs keep hunting. Torpedoes keep failing. Japanese convoys keep delivering troops, fuel, and ammunition to bases across the Pacific. Then, in July 1943, Lawrence Daspit's patrol report lands on Lockwood's desk. And everything changes. July 23, 1943, evening. USS Tinosa is running on the surface east of Truk when the radar operator picks up a massive contact. Daspit takes one look through the periscope and nearly forgets to breathe. Tonin Maru No. 3, a 19,000-ton whale factory ship, basically a floating oil refinery, one of the largest vessels in the Japanese merchant fleet. Daspit stalks her through the night. At dawn, he maneuvers into position and fires 4 Mark 14 torpedoes. 2 hit, 1 forward, 1 amidships. The tanker shudders, lists, and goes dead in the water. Smoke pours from her hull, but she doesn't sink. Daspit circles, waits, watches. She's crippled, helpless, no escorts, no air cover, just sitting there waiting to die. He has 15 torpedoes left. He's going to finish her off, bring back proof of a kill, and add 19,000 tons to Tinosa's tally. What he's about to do instead is gather evidence that will finally crack the Navy's denial wide open. Daspit sets up again, point-blank range, perfect firing solution. He aims for the center of the hull, impossible to miss. Fires. The torpedo runs hot, straight, and normal. Impacts the hull with a sharp metallic clang. Doesn't explode. Daspit stares through the periscope. Maybe a dud, it happens. He fires again. Clang. Nothing. Again. Clang. Again. By the time the sun is high overhead, Lawrence Daspit has fired 11 torpedoes at a stationary target from point-blank range. 11 hits, 11 impacts, 11 failures. He has 1 torpedo left. Instead of firing it, he makes a decision that will alter the course of the Pacific War. He keeps it. Tinosa dives and slips away. Tonin Maru No. 3, impossibly, limps back to Truk under tow. When Daspit surfaces that night and radios his report, his voice is calm, clinical, but every man aboard Tinosa knows what they've just witnessed. Their weapon doesn't work. And now they have proof. August 1943, Pearl Harbor. When Lockwood reads Daspit's patrol report, he doesn't explode. He doesn't curse. He simply picks up the phone. Because this is it. This is the evidence Washington can't ignore. 11 hits, 0 explosions, same target, same angle, same torpedo batch, and Daspit kept 1 unfired fish for analysis. Lockwood immediately orders the Mark 6 contact exploder, the backup detonator that's supposed to trigger on impact, pulled apart and tested. What his engineers discover is staggering. The contact exploder has a fatal design flaw. When a torpedo strikes a target head-on at high speed, exactly the kind of shot every submarine captain is trained to take, the firing pin is driven backward by the force of impact, jamming the mechanism before it can trigger the detonator. The harder you hit, the less likely it is to explode. It's not bad luck, it's not crew error, it's physics. The Mark 14 has been failing since Pearl Harbor because the Bureau of Ordnance never tested it in realistic combat conditions. They fired a handful of torpedoes at slow speeds, at shallow angles, and declared victory. Every submarine captain who reported a malfunction was right. And the Bureau of Ordnance covered it up, not out of malice, but out of arrogance, bureaucracy, and an unwillingness to admit a decade of work was flawed. Lockwood doesn't wait for permission this time. In September 1943, he authorizes field modifications. Submarine tenders across the Pacific begin reworking the Mark 6 exploder, lightening the firing pin and strengthening the spring. Then he goes after the magnetic exploder, the advanced feature that's been causing premature detonations, erratic runs, and circular runs that nearly sink the subs that fired them. Lockwood orders it deactivated permanently. The Bureau of Ordnance protests. Admirals in Washington send furious cables. Lockwood ignores them all. By October 1943, American submarines are finally going to war with a weapon that works. And the Japanese merchant fleet is about to learn what total war really means. November 1943, Western Pacific. USS Wahoo, under Commander Dudley "Mush" Morton, intercepts a Japanese convoy off the coast of Formosa. 4 torpedoes, 4 hits, 4 kills. No duds, no failures, just results. Word spreads through the submarine force like wildfire. The Mark 14 finally works. And now there's no stopping them. American submarines, once the most frustrated branch of the Navy, become the most lethal. By the end of 1943, sinkings skyrocket: oil tankers, troop transports, cargo ships, warships. Japan's economy is built on imports: oil from the Dutch East Indies, rubber from Malaya, rice from Indochina. Every ounce of it has to cross the Pacific by sea. And now every convoy is a target. By 1944, American submarines are sinking Japanese merchant ships faster than Japan can build them. Fuel shortages cripple the combined fleet. Factories go idle. Troops on distant islands starve. Japan's military leadership realizes too late that, while they focused on battleships and carriers, America's submarines were killing the war machine from the inside. By the end of the war, U.S. submarines will have sunk over 1,300 Japanese ships, 3 million tons of shipping, more than half of Japan's entire merchant fleet. And it all started with one man, one patrol, and 11 torpedoes that refused to explode. Lawrence Daspit's decision to keep that last torpedo, to bring back evidence instead of taking one more frustrated shot, gave Lockwood the proof he needed to bypass the bureaucrats, fix the weapon, and unleash the force that would strangle an empire. Japan's submarines, by comparison, never solved their own torpedo problems. They never targeted merchant shipping. They chased glory kills, warships and carriers, while America's silent service did the unglamorous, brutal work of economic warfare. That's the difference between losing and winning a war in the Pacific. Not the biggest fleet, not the best planes. The willingness to admit your weapon is broken and fix it before it's too late.